Hey guys, Archangel Manga here, and today I'm going to be reviewing Shigurui Death Frenzy. Shigurui Death Frenzy is a samurai, I guess you could call tragedy set in feudal era Japan. Um, it follows the lives, well, I said the lives, it follows more the mental turmoil of two rival samurai who are basically part of the same school of swordsmanship, and they're basically not only just fighting for their own honor and peace of mind, but they're also fighting to learn and attain the secrets of the very sword style that they're apprenticed under. Their masters' secrets of the sword. They're fighting for the rights to those secrets, and not only are they fighting for the rights to their master's secrets of the sword, but they're also fighting for his only daughter's hand in marriage. So basically, you know, the samurai who becomes the successor to the Kogan style can also bear an heir with his daughter, and essentially become the ruler of the school. And that's basically the main premise of the story. These two samurai are put under like immense pressure. They put each other under immense pressure, and they put themselves under immense pressure in order to overcome themselves as well as their adversaries. And it's a very, very tense series, in that aspect, because it's all very mentally driven. So let's talk a little bit about the characters. First off, we have Genosuke Fujiki. He is the initial heir to the Kogan style. He was the samurai, the disciple samurai who was in the school first. He's very serious about his code, his code of the Bushido, his way of the sword. And you could really say that he punishes himself in order to attain that level of perfection in his practice. There's not really, there's plenty of depth to him, but he's also very, very standoffish and very defensive in a very subtle way. All of his conflict is very self-directed. He doesn't really express himself outwardly. He expresses himself more inwardly, and that makes for a very interesting character, because most of his dialogue is really in his head. And from the point up until the other main character comes in, Fujiki is held in very high regard by his fellow students, as they all acknowledge that he is the heir to the Kogan style, and the he's highly respected, as he is essentially the first heir to the Kogan style. Now, the next character we see introduced is Seigen Irako, and it's from this point on that the story really sets into motion. He brings a brilliant dimension to the series, and he also brings a very brilliant dimension equally to Genosuke Fujiki, because he's very brash, he's very cocky, he's very full of himself and snobby to an extent. We see throughout the series on many occasions Irako almost has one up on his enemy, but then when he feels that he's in danger, or his life's threatened, he'll back off and become cowardly. And he's like a, I guess you could say, a part-time badass, because he does bring the badassery to the series, but then he just kind of reflects that by being a coward and kind of running away from situations. And it's very unexpected of him, because he's genuinely a very good swordsman. So when he's like a wandering samurai, I believe he's a ronin in the series. So he comes to the Kogan dojo, challenging them. He faces off against Fujiki, who is the senior disciple at the time. They battle. Fujiki gets injured, and he basically takes all the senior disciples on one at a time, and he ends up losing, which isn't a spoiler, because this pretty much happens from the get-go. He really shows his true colors when he loses, because he becomes cowardly, starts crying, and it's really shocking to see, from being a badass to then becoming almost childlike. So from that, he ends up joining the dojo. His talent is respected, and his power alone shines. So he's basically in a race with Fujiki to become the senior disciple of the school, and essentially the heir to the Kogan style. Which brings me then on to Kogan, who is the master of the dojo. Kogan, as a master, he's very, very interesting because he is a master swordsman, but he's also absolutely insane, literally insane. He goes through periods of dementia where he can just go months and months and he's just completely crazy, with his eyes rolled in the back of his head, chewing on his own clothes and things like that. And he puts a massive amount of stress on his students because they all respect him so highly. They don't challenge his word, but when he tells them to do unreasonable and stupid demands, they have no other option but to do everything to his whim. And because he's such a terrifying person, nobody even dares to challenge him on any of that. And one thing that's really frighteningly terrifying about Kogan is the fact that he will, on numerous occasions, just instantly flick out of his dementia and lash out at somebody with his sword. So it makes him completely unpredictable because you don't know when he's going to come back to sanity. Because he's almost baby-like in a sense of how crazy he is, because he can't do anything for himself. Like he'll urinate himself, or he'll be there like gnawing on like a raw dead fish, and he's literally just crazy. He's completely insane. But when something pisses him off, and he just literally snaps, and like his eyes will roll back forward, and he'll just like whip his sword out, and next thing you'll see like a head cut in half or something. That makes him truly terrifying, and that's why I really, really like Kogan. Which brings me on to his daughter, Mie, and she's really the only level-headed one in the series. She's a normal girl surrounded by all these really hard-boiled samurai who are so serious about their art, in a sense. That's essentially what they see it as. And she's really the only one in the series that brings that really human level, that human sort of sense to any of the characters, because everyone else is so superhuman. But slowly throughout the series, we'll see Mie from a happy-go-lucky girl, and to towards the end we just see her as like a shell of her former self. Like she loses weight, becomes completely skinny and everything. Like she's like a ghost almost, through the pressure that Kogan puts on her, because she goes through some really, really crazy stuff which you could really count as abuse from her father and from other members of the school. There's certain ceremonies and traditional procedures that she has to go through, which is very forceful on her. To the point where it's essentially rape, and it's really, really sick in that regard. There are a lot of moments in this series where you will feel very uncomfortable watching. And as a samurai series, it goes without saying that there is a massive amount of violence in this series, but you wouldn't expect that. The fights themselves are relatively short. The fights are very over very quickly. There's more emphasis actually on the kill than the actual fight. It's more build up to the fight. The fight's over in a flash, and then high emphasis on the person or people dying. You could almost say that the whole series is filmed in like monotone, because there's such emphasis on blood and guts. It's almost they make the red so vibrant. It's almost like beautiful. And that's really good because it's reflective of how beautiful the samurai see their way of killing is. It's not necessarily about the fight, it's about how beautiful the kill is. And that comes across very well in this series. The cinematography and how it's actually filmed. It's not standard of regular animation, because that's another thing. The animation is very good but very unique. There's a lot of like blur effects and old grainy effects, like old cinema effects that are used on the on the animation to make it seem more intense, or give a sense of atmosphere in a certain scene, which really adds to the suspense, because it's very suspenseful. But it's not all action packed. It's more it's more in the mind of the samurai rather than the practice of samurai. There's not really much dialogue, but when there is dialogue, it's very impactful. There's it's not how can I say, the lack of dialogue, it feels intentional, because there's a lot of silence employed in this series to really add to the suspense, and it feels very intentional. you know, it's like the writers of this series have, you know, intentionally made it so that any sort of dialogue that comes up, you know, it's you know, it brings weight to the series. And with the fact that the dialogue is very minimal in this series, there's also a heavy emphasis on the music, because the OST for the series is very, very good, and it works perfectly with the era that it's set in, because all the music is using traditional Japanese instruments. It's traditional Japanese music, so the majority of the music is just like percussion. You know, it'd be like one instrument just playing in the background, whether one of them like a lute, or just like, you know, Japanese like drums or something. And it really, really adds to the tension of the series, because when there isn't dialogue at all, you know, for like minutes on end, there'll be just like one like song playing, and it'd be really, really good. And there's a few instances in the series where characters will be singing as well. Like there's a scene where Seigen Irako is singing, do like a traditional Japanese dance sing performance thing. And another song that comes up, you know, throughout the series, of like a little girl singing. And when the songs come up, because I watch this in the English dub, when the songs come up, they just switch over to the original Japanese voice actor, like actors, to do, you know, the singing. You know, it's not like the English have tried to do like a really bad, you know, remix of the song, because when you read the subtitles and you listen to the song, you know, I was reading, I was like, that just could not work singing it in English at all. So I'm really glad that the you know, decided to keep the songs in the series, you know, as little as they are and as short as they are, kept them in Japanese, even though it's kind of unusual, because especially when Seigen Iriko starts singing, you know, the voice actor, the Japanese voice actor, sounds completely different from the English one, so you can tell straight away that it's two different people. But you know, it didn't really throw me off the scene too badly. But all in all, I would definitely highly recommend this series. Only really bad thing I have to say about it is the fact that it's incomplete. The ending is very inconclusive and will leave you open to, you know, many questions, because it doesn't really tie up any loose ends whatsoever from the beginning. So, you know, the only way you can really, you know, get the proper ending to this is by reading the manga, which unfortunately has not been licensed in English yet. So, you know, your only real option is to either buy it in another language, import it, or, you know, at the last resort, read it online and hope for an English release. You know, that's what I'm going to be trying to do, because, you know, I still don't know the proper end to this series, but nonetheless, I do recommend you pick up this series, 12 episodes long, and it is really good. I believe it was animated by Madhouse. Yeah, Madhouse, and obviously dubbed by Funimation. So, you know, you're bound to get a really good treat out of this, even though you won't understand the ending, because I didn't. So yeah, I'm Archangel Manga. Goodbye.